start to classifying organisms. Okay, what is habitat? Habitat is the area where a living organism live. For example, if we say, where do the humans live? What is the habitat of humans? So we know that humans live in houses, right? So the houses are the habitats of human. And if we say, where are the rabbits live? We know that they live in grass and something like that. So grass and something like that is the habitat of rabbits, all that stuff. So habitat is basically a place where an organism lives. And further we go down, what is a cell type? What are prokaryotic? What are eukaryotic? So prokaryotic cells are circular chromosome and no membrane bound organelles. For example, no true nucleus. They don't have a nucleus, okay? So that's why there are no membrane bound organelles. They are very small in size, less than 2 and they reproduce by binary fission. And eukaryotic cell, they will standard chromosomes in nucleus, membrane bound nucleus. They are larger than the prokaryotic cells, so they are 10 to 100 reproduced by mitosis or meiosis. So this is a perfect example of the difference of prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Here we go on classifying organisms. Okay, so what are the heterotrophic organisms? So heterotrophic consume living or dead organisms to obtain energy. For example, if we can take an example of of a snake. Snake don't make their own food, right? They consume food by eating other things, right, to get the energy. So anything that eat other thing to get energy is called heterotrophic, and the autotrophic use sun energy to make their own food. An example of autotrophic are plants, like they use the sunlight energy to make their own food, but they don't use like organisms to make their own food, because plants can't eat organisms, right? So they make their own food by the process of photosynthesis to the sun. So these are the autotrophics. So autotrophics are organisms that make their own food by sun, and the heterotrophics are the organisms that consume food from living or dead organisms. And number of cells. Unicellular mean a thing that contain only one cell. It can any living thing that contain only one cell, and the multicellular mean a living thing that contain more than one cell. Okay, let's talk about reproduction. So there are two types of reproduction. First one is asexual and the second one is sexual. Okay, sexual reproduction involves the joining fission of male and female sex cells, that is gamete. So basically in sexual reproduction, it is obvious that there should be two parents, like the mother and the father, to produce an offspring. What is an offspring? Offspring is a living organism that can reproduce. Okay, so for example, if a offspring is a, you can say offspring is a baby. For example, if a parent mom and the other parent dad both like interbreed and produce a produce an offspring, that's a baby. Every time a new thing that is reproduced is called an offspring. That's an offspring. And then the asexual reproduction, that only requires one parent and genetically identical to parent, and the offspring is genetically identical to parent, like it's same like the parent, same. You can take an example of a starfish, because starfish is asexual because it do not need another partner to interbreed. It, if we cut a piece of starfish, it will reproduce on its own and make another starfish by its own. So it's an asexual process because it only involves one thing, one parent, maybe a girl or a boy, that does not matter. And in sexual reproduction, it involves both in a girl and a boy to reproduce, interbreed, and then reproduce a offspring, that is a baby, and other organism, living organism. So we go through habitat. We know that habitat is a place of living organisms, cell type, prokaryotic, eukaryotic, and okay, archaea. These are the domains. Archaea includes only the kingdom archaea, that are prokaryotes. Bacteria includes the kingdom bacteria, that are prokaryotes. Eukarya includes the kingdom. Okay, I told you that eukarya includes 4 things, that is protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia, and those all are eukaryotes. So these are the 3 domains, but eukarya have 4 things in its domain. Okay, so these we already talked about that. Bacteria, archaea, and eukarya are the three different domains. Okay.